So we left off at the Swayamvar of Sita. Her father, King Pinaka, wanted Sita to only marry a prince who was deserving of her. So he came up with a plan to figure out who would be the proven prince worthy to marry her. His plan was the man who could string, lift, or break Shiva's bow would gain her hand in marriage. Effortlessly, Ram, the prince of Ayodhya, picked up Shiva's bow. The Ramayan says the earth shook and Shiva's bow snapped in two. So let's get down to what this actually means, or the deeper truth behind the riddle. In most of our religions or mythologies or great legends and epics, we are told parables, riddles, and metaphors. So let's see what this story is actually telling us. We have to use our wisdom to figure out the deeper truths in the stories, like a detective. We have to be good at figuring out riddles. So to me personally, all the gods and goddesses are personifications of natural forces, whether cosmic or terrestrial. So to me, this Ram figure represents energy, light, or ionized oxygen, being plasma that emanates or emerges back into our world every other age to set the world straight. This could be known or seen as the solar hero that defeats the negative forces and helps the world return to the golden age, or Satya Yuga, the age of truth. In the Ramayan, it also speaks of Ram being what color? Blue. That would be because he and the avatars of Vishnu represent the ionized gases or plasma. It's a blue beam, basically. So on my channel, when we speak of this phenomenon, we'll speak of it as the blue beam, Squatterman, the solar hero, the primordial sun. You get the point. It's all the same thing, or the same phenomenon. Around the world, we have petroglyphs of what's called the Squatterman. I believe this figure is actually a representation or drawings of this plasma that I'm speaking of. Ram is usually always associated with a bow and arrow, just like many other figures in our mythologies, such as the god Apollo. Interestingly enough, there is a lot of these petroglyphs worldwide that have depicted on them some sort of character with a bow and arrow, also sometimes on horseback. Now, how many gods or goddesses do we know of that are horse riders? A lot. From Jesus to the Saoshyant of Zoroastrianism, the Thracian horse rider, to Kalki of Hinduism, and many, many more. The Ramayan and other books such as the Iliad are amazing books, and reason being is because I don't believe they are just simply stories. They are actually history, or the true story of our world, retelling us events that happened in our sky and in our world long ago through their own understanding. Anyways, so how does Ram break Shiva's bow? First, we need to find out who is Shiva. Well, to me, in my interpretation or perspective, and remember all of this is through my perspective, to me he seems to be the cosmic force from above that can or does destroy. This also, by the way, doesn't mean he is evil, as the destructions seem to happen when it is needed. So this is by necessity and not malicious. Sometimes he can also stand for the blue beam or plasma itself, but mostly I believe he stands for the cosmic force above, associated with the apex dome above us, where the sun projects downwards to us. So if Shiva stands for a force above associated with the apex dome, what is his bow? Well, his bow would be that dome above that arches or curves downward. The pic on the screen now, which I took at a church in Amalfi, Italy last year, I believe is showing the apex dome at the top of the picture, just so you can get an idea of what the apex dome is, and also go to Jay Dreamer's channel here on YouTube. He has plenty of videos and information on the apex dome as well. Remember, a bow has an arch to it. What else does? That would be a crescent moon. If you know Jay Dreamer's channel well, you'd know by now that the moon itself is a part of the dome, particularly the part that droops downwards. That's what the apex dome is. Remember, with Shiva, a lot of his symbology includes a crescent moon. That is the bow of Shiva, I do believe. Remember, his Pinaka bow is said to be celestial because it is part of that apex dome. So now that we know what the bow of Shiva is, how does Ram break it? Well, at the end of this age, before we totally transition from one age to another, we have to go through a cataclysm, a reset. And this cataclysm is what brings Ram back, so we start a new age. Ram, to me, would stand for the solar hero, the plasma energy, or squatter man that's born out of Mount Meru. At the end of an age, when there is a cataclysm that literally ends one world and brings us into a new one, there's multiple things going on, and what seems to be a war between two opposing forces or energies. Multiple religions, including Christianity and the Bible, say that the sky will open up. When the sky opens up, it's that apex dome or Shiva's bow opening up or breaking, being broken by Ram in the Ramayan. So, how does it break? This age, the sun increases its focus, getting hotter and hotter, transgressing its boundary, and moves closer and closer to the North Pole, which will shorten its circuit, therefore make the days go by faster, so we feel time has sped up, which I also believe has already started. So we are at the end, or approaching the end if you ask me. The sun will heat up as it gets farther and farther north. The sun now appears to be white, but I know for a fact when I was a kid growing up, it was yellow. I remember this pretty clearly. Now it is white, and what color comes next? That would be blue. This is according to the Kelvin scale, and this is as hot as it gets. That is the last color within the Kelvin scale, where it shows the color temperature scale. Blue is at the highest. So our sun operates on a spectrum of colors as we go through the ages of time. As it gets into the blue spectrum, which I'd imagine isn't too far off from now, it's at its hottest, and is probably at this point, it is also very close to its end point, which would be the North Pole. Once it's totally over the North Pole, or over Sita, Janaki, as in the story, it is probably so hot that it ends up becoming a supernova and reaches the end of its life for this cycle, or Karpa. At this point, the dome where the light is projecting down to us likely breaks open. As I said, that would be Shiva's bow breaking. Remember how the government speaks of Project Blue Beam? Well, I believe this end time sun is that blue beam that they speak of within Project Blue Beam. The government already knows how the story of the world works. They are not stupid, so they can make up whatever narrative they'd like and inform the public whatever black magic they want to. They also have this tied into aliens and all of that, which we can get into in other videos. This end time sun would also be the blue star Kachina of the Hopi and a bunch of other gods in other mythologies or religions. Probably Agni of Hinduism would be one other version of this end time sun, some type of forerunner type god to the true king. This could be King Janaka, could be Agni. This, I believe, is Artemis in some of the stories of Greek mythology, possibly the Moshiach ben Yosef in Judaism, and we can get into those type stories in other videos. Even in the Bible, it says this will happen. It says the sky opens up like a scroll. Then not too long after this, the blue plasma or squatter man figure, Lord Ram, would be born out of the holy mountain, Mount Meru. And since it's fully charged up, Having charged up for an age and be positive charged, it would fight against the energy that is opposed to its charge. This would be the character called Ravana in this story. So here you see the return of Ram and the breaking of Shiva's bow happening at around the same time. This, I believe, is how Ram breaks Shiva's bow. When he returns to be with Sita, he breaks the bow. At the cataclysm or reset, Shiva's Pinaka bow breaks, and Ram is reunited with Sita in the sacred city of Ayodhya. Most of our stories and all the legends, myths, religions are all related to what happens at the resets. This is what I've found. Speaking of which, this same event also brings about another Hindu story, one of Lord Shiva drinking the poison and his throat turning blue, and the reason why he is sometimes called Nilakant. I can break this down in the next video, so if you want to find out how Shiva drank the poison, what the poison is, and why his throat turned blue, stay tuned for the next video.